maybe we're glad to have you on the platform this evening. Techbiz, again, is a platform put together by Eco Innovation Center, an incubation and acceleration center, which is focused on providing the required support and handholding for startup founders in their journey to build their ventures. Eco Innovation Center, put together since 2018, over the years has hosted different platforms to support the journeys of startup founders, from organizing hackathons to global conferences. And of course, the Techbiz webinar is one of the platforms that we use to provide the right support and handholding for startup founders in their journey. This week's episode, again, is quite remarkable. It's the 125th episode of Techbiz, 125th episode. And of course, this speaks to the fact that we've had over 125 subject matter experts grace our platform in the last couple of years. Again, and we've had founders, subject matter experts who have, taken us through topics that are quite instructive, how to use the business model canvas, how to scale your ventures, how to access funds, how to get grants, and how to do your sales documents, preparing for investment readiness. Again, we've had all those opportunities to be able to have these founders join us, and of course share with all our ecosystem founders this very instructive thoughts and topics that they think will help in the journey. And so Techbiz, in the last, over the years, we have kept these 124 episodes, and you can find them. I think my colleagues are already dropping the link. The 124 episodes, you can always find them. All you have to do is go to Eco Center/webinar, and you will find all the recordings of the 124 episodes. And even this episode, you will find by 12 noon tomorrow will be available. And so feel free to go through the episodes to listen to our speakers and listen to them. Have they brought their minds on topics they think will be relevant for you on your journey. And I think you will find it quite instructive. Again, should you think that there are questions you want to ask, or there are clarifications, or they're just information that you think will be beneficial, feel free, because we think this 1 hour webinars once a month might not do justice to some of the challenges that we experience and the headwinds we face in our journey to build. Feel free to join our community of over 3,000 startup founders and tech enthusiasts in Techbiz Nation. And my colleagues are dropping the link in the chat. Many of the founders who have shared their time with us and have shared with us from the depth of their experience are also part of the community. You access, you're getting grants, information about what's happening in the ecosystem, and how the ecosystem is being shaped globally, being shared from time to time there. And I think to do you well, if you use any of the links that my colleagues have dropped in the chat box to join the community, either on the Telegram community or on the WhatsApp community, and I'm sure that you will find it quite rewarding to be there. So today we're going to quickly dive into it, because again, I'm excited about the facilitator for today, and just like we always have had, it's every time we bring people to speak to us, there are always people who've got the track record, who are subject matter experts, people who are on the front lines of building ventures, of scaling ventures, of shaping the ecosystem. And of course, this particular speaker I find quite instructive, because their work allows other ecosystem founders to be able to do their job successfully. They allow our products be able to work and function very well. And the topic for today, again, I find quite instructive. This session will be unpacking how founders can hold on to long-term vision without sight of present-day customer needs. And all of you agree that we operate in a very dynamic environment. Things are changing every time. The landscape is changing. And our facilities will be sharing for us frameworks for knowing when to listen to the market versus when to lead it. When do you listen to the market? And when do you lead the market? When are you too early? and offer practical insights into how the organization, which is renowned for having helped create some of the infrastructures that help the ecosystem to function properly, has navigated this tension while scaling across borders. The attendees today will be able to live with a clear sense of how balancing ambition with responsiveness and how to build products that are both visionary and genuinely useful. Again, the facilitator to today, interestingly, did not start from technology like many of us. He began his journey in an unlikely place, urban and regional planning, grounding systems, structures, and all that put together. And from there, he co-founded an organization which they started with just a seed capital of $250,000, like 250,000 naira. And every time I tell founders, and research has shown, money again is not usually the decider of who scales or how we get there. It's relevant, but it's not the only thing that is needed. Today, the platform and the organization they build processes billions of transactions from OTPs and fraud alerts to payments and logins. I'm sure you understand why I said their infrastructure allows almost every one of us to be able to function effectively. Okay, they fraud alerts to payments and logins, they reach over 16 million end users every month across banks, fintechs, e-commerce platforms. Under his leadership, the company has raised funding from investors, including Y Combinator, Microtraction, and has ranked as #1 fastest growing telecom company by Financial Times in 2025. And again, it tells you the pedigree of our facilitator for today. He is the CEO and the co-founder of Temil, a leading AI native reliability infrastructure company powering seamless communication and transaction verifications across Africa. You can't build any payment platform without Temil. Ladies and gentlemen, join me to welcome Mr. Emmanuel Gbolade as he takes us through the session and he bores his mind with us and he shares with us from his depth of experience on the topic of today, which is about focusing on customer obsession versus when we should focus about founder vision. I know it's usually a very difficult tension. As founders, we tell ourselves you need to be excited about what you're building. And I'm wondering if that was the obsession in Temil. Maybe there's a backstory about why you ended up building an infrastructure company, because usually everybody, when you were building, wanted to build a fintech, quickly do some raise and all that. But you build something that helps all of us power. And people will be like, was that driven by customer need? Was that driven by your vision to have a better ecosystem, an ecosystem that delivers, an ecosystem that today we all are proud is one of the best and fastest growing in Africa, very, very developed. If you've been around the world, our payment ecosystem is quite advanced, and it's thanks to the organizations that people like you have built, which is what you do in Temi. Thank you very much, and it's good to hear a bit of the backstory of how you landed this and how you've scaled over the years. You have the floor, sir.
Thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much, Dr. Victor, and thank you very much for having me. The entire Echo Innovation Center. Can you hear me clearly? Okay. Do I share my screen or somebody's going to share? You're on mute, sorry.
Either way works. If you want someone to share we can share from our end. But if you want to do the transition yourself, it's fine. But I think you have the sharing rights, but we also can share with you.
Okay,
yes.
all right. Yes.
You have the floor, sir.
Okay, all right. Let me just hide this. Oh no. Let me hide this one. All right. Thank you very much, everyone, and thank you for having me once again. And also Dr. Victor for the opportunity. It's a privilege to be here, and I don't take it for granted. So thank you very much to everyone. Thank you for the introduction also. A little bit of backstory. And please let me know if I'm cutting out so that I'm very clear. And also don't mind my um, my voice. Perhaps I'll become more alive later as we keep talking. So just manage me the way I am. All right. I would say a bit of backstory. I studied urban and regional planning, University of Lagos. Um, it was a interesting one. I had always loved design, not necessarily. Um, and I actually did not study anything in computer science actually. So it was design actually. So I'm actually a designer by nature because while studying urban regional planning, I actually majored more on design. So most of my design courses were what I actually got the best grades for actually. And while finishing school, I wanted to make use of that skill much more. So I think I naturally tilted from school into things like UI designs and all of that, basically. So that was what happened past my days in school. I think I started, and from there I ventured into things like web design, website development, and all of that. Mostly self-taught, just learned online. Um, I think the good thing was in Unilag, I had the opportunity of being near the staff quarters. Like I always go there, so I had access to internet. So there was always internet in Unilag, right? So I usually stay back after school session to hone my skills. And I think that really helped me during those days. Having access to internet connectivity was really good then, and so I used it to learn a lot of things. And then the internet speed was pretty good, so I was always learning web design stuff over then, and I got a little bit of jobs here and there, and that helped build my capacity. I landed my first job with a company that is no longer alive. It's called Heels.com. If you were in Lagos sometime in 2015 or 16, you probably have heard of them. They were very popular then. They sell female shoes. And so I was like the creative director there at that time. So I worked there and also CTO. So I worked there for like so maybe a few months and then I left. And I think I went back to school after a while, Lagos Business School. I got like on the program, I think they call it the EDC at the Lagos Business School, and um, that was my venturing into business. So I learned about business, marketing, and all of that, right? And when I left Lagos Business School, I went full time into going into business, right? I worked with Accountia as the COO at some point in that journey. Accountia was an accounting startup. I think they were acquired by another fintech. And when I left Accountia, I went fully into Termite. So I think that's the evolution into Termite. Termite started mostly as an email marketing platform, right? So we were just trying to um, offer our services. Okay, so actually, Termite started because of my consulting work, right? Because I said I was a web developer, so I was doing consulting for some companies, and so Termite started because of that. Those customers were asking for email marketing solution, right? And so I tilted into offering them that service, right? And so I was doing it manually, but then I thought about it that wait, I couldn't do this, right? So I remember then I was serving during that period. I went back to serve because I actually didn't go to serve immediately after school. So I served like maybe like 3 or 4 years after school, right? So then I was serving and I'll be in Ibadan, and my clients would be calling me. My consulting clients will call me in Lagos that I should come that day, and so I'll be serving. I was serving as a geography teacher in Ibadan, and I'll leave Ibadan maybe by 12 noon, or no, sorry, maybe like 1 2 when the school is about to close. I had an understanding with the principal, to allow me leave on time, and so I leave around 2 and I come to Lagos, attend to my clients, then get back to Ibadan again, back to my primary place of assignment around 9 p.m. And I did that almost like 3 times a week, for almost over a year. Right. So it was a frustrating experience. It was very tiring. So I had to always be in the customer's place because oh, the email is not working, it's not delivering and all of that. So I just thought myself that see, I can't continue this life, right? I need to set up something that is automated, that I don't have to always be there to help them fix, right? And so that's where I spoke to one of my co-founders. So then he was, I think he just finished school. He was trying to serve or something like that. And so I spoke to him to for us to build something like that. And so we started building the product and I offered it to those clients and they liked it. It worked, and that was how it started. So I would say Temai started from that kind of customer obsession, basically, right? However, I'll call that Temai version one, actually, right? Because that's not what we are doing at the moment. So that's like Temai version one. So I think that will take me into this topic. I'll use that as an example. So we are looking at customer obsession versus founder vision. So who really drives the product success? Um, yeah, so based on my story, you'll see that I think I'll say I started with customer obsession at that point, but then I went back to founder vision again. Why? Because um, I think we started building the email platform. We built it. We did a lot of work just to serve the clients. Um, and then I think sometime in 2018 or so, or 19, we introduced SMS to the system. And SMS then was just to send bulk messages at that time. And we noticed in 2019, we I I was opportune to be somewhere in CC Hub. Right now, one good thing about it is in early stage, it's always good to be in many. Just you don't know where opportunity meets you, right? I usually say stay alive. That the only people that opportunity comes to, or the only business opportunity comes to, are those who stay alive long enough to meet those opportunities, right? So, as a startup, then we had to just stay alive. I attended almost, I think during that period, almost every event in Lagos knew me, right? I was always in every tech event, tech program. I was always in CC Hub, in fact, sixth floor, right? So being there, I'll be opportune to be in the middle of many programs, right? And so one of those programs, I was there, and I don't know, maybe I pitched something, right, or something like that. And then Yele, that's the founder of Microtraction, was in the audience, and so I used the opportunity to shoot my shot, met him, spoke to him, and then he invited me for like a meeting somewhere on the island. So I'm my friend, I'm my co-founder now. We went for that program and we pitched what we're trying to build. And he told us that see, he's not going to invest in what we're building, right? But he pitched another product to us actually. That can we build this product? And we said, yeah, we can build it, sure. And so it was a product from an American company. I don't even think they're still alive. And so we said, oh yeah, that we can build a product, right? And so you see, I think maybe you can even have investor vision here because it's like you have founder vision, maybe investor vision be here because really it was what he that was why Microtraction invested actually. It was they that pitched an idea to me, right? But the interesting thing was that right now we're not doing what they pitched, right? Because we tried to do it, we jumped into it and it wasn't really working for the Nigerian market. Nobody was interested, and so we kind of just kept roller coasting. Then one of the microtraction partners, that's what's his name now? Um, Dio Koleo. So we are now very close now, right? He works closely with me at Termite, and he pitched Y Combinator to me that oh, why don't you apply for YC? It's in US, and I was like US Y Combinator. Ugh, that's not for me. I don't even know anything about them, right? So, but then I decided to apply. We did a video, and interestingly, YC normally does interviews online for you when you're in Africa, but they didn't do for us. They skipped it. They said, they liked the application and they wanted us to fly down to US directly, and they would pay for the trip. I was like, wow, that's the first time I hear that kind of thing. So it was like a breakthrough for us then. So we needed money to go for the trip and all of that. So that was another tough one. So I think that was very good when YC's money, sorry, microtransaction money eventually cleared. It was like then they were giving like 15K or so, but then we now had opportunity of Future Hub, right? Future Hub is a Chinese company, and so they now also invested because they heard about YC and all of that. So they invested, and so it was the two money that we gathered together to fly down to be able to afford a lot of things, tickets, passport, all of that, because YC pays you after you have returned back from the US, not before. So you have to fly yourself there, get your hotel and everything, right? So we got there and they eventually invested, and we came for the YC batch. Now I'll explain why I'm telling this story, because that's where the founder vision comes into. Now when we go into YC, um, everything that we're doing, YC told us that it's nice that they've turned down many companies doing the same thing, but it just felt like maybe we are the ones to do something different, so they would take a chance on us. And so when we go into YC, the 3 months batch, they told us that we need to pivot, right? That's what we're currently doing might not be the best, so we should figure out something that we can do to pivot, right? And so that's where the founder vision came. And so one of those days we were walking down um, Mountain View somewhere in California, and I and my founder, we started thinking about the ideas. What can we pivot? What can we pivot to? Right now, that's where you see this the founder vision comes. Now, how Temaikin was a merge of the two. Now, you see what I have in my slide here, that two forces that every founder is told the most, right? Now, they rarely point the same direction, and the tension between them is where real products really gets made. And so there was a clear tension between the founder vision and the customer obsession. Right. Um, Now, how did that tension come? Right. So for Temai, it was neither the founder vision or the customer tension. It was really the two together. So if you see what I defined here, I said vision gets you into the room, but customers tell you where you belong, and then obsession about your customers keeps you in business, really. And so um, Termite started purely on founder vision, but then the customer obsession was what really told us where to look. All right. And so that day we were at Mountain View, and we just started thinking, what can we do? And then it occurred to us that we had some customers using our platform. Remember, I mentioned that we introduced SMS. So then we were very heavy on email. We are thinking about email stuff and all of that. But to be honest, that was a product that came too early. Right now, customers are now disturbing us for that same product we were offering then. But then they were not interested because SMS was like the main channel, then SMS and WhatsApp. But emails was not really some. But right now, customers are now asking us for that whole email solution, right? And that's what we're now trying to even do with our new product called Engage. Right. So, anyways, the customer was. We now decided to look into our database. That what are our customers using? Like, what's really the core solution, right? And then after looking at the system, we started to see certain things. Now, this is where this slide comes into. So I said Termite began with founder level conviction long before the market was loudly asking for it. So one of the things you see is conviction before demand. We bet that verifiable, reliable messaging and voice infrastructure would matter to African businesses. And then an infrastructure bet, like Dr. Victor was saying, why infrastructure? Really, right? So instead of chasing like a one app, a fintech, and all of that mobile app, we chose to build the rails behind it, right? And then building for a market that was not yet mature. To be honest, the industry that we play in is the telecoms industry. Telecoms is mostly known for, or let's just say communication, not really telecoms. Is mostly known for maybe the MTN and the telcos and all of that. But this time we're building B2B, right? B2B rails. It was not really present then. I think the only platforms that were very active then was the likes of Twilio, Infobip from the UK, from Europe, Twilio from US, and maybe Africa Stocking from Kenya. But in Nigeria, what we had was bulk marketing bulk messaging providers. In fact, I say that we're the ones that were the first company that actually started the per billing system that uses wallets, wallet and per billion. Because I remember when we started that, we noticed a lot of companies now started offering that service, right? In their own infrastructure, but it wasn't common then. In fact, I actually had some meetings with some of the founders that came to me at the back. Many of the that many of the companies today that now have this wallet feature, I actually had meetings with them at the back. I remember, like so many of them, they actually reached out to me to ask us how exactly are we billing, because it became so popular amongst the investor community. They were telling the portfolio founders to reach out to us to explain how we're able to do the wallet system, because the wallet system is fantastic. It's actually what is keeping Tema in business right now, because the wallet system makes you to collect money upfront before serving the products. In the past, um, people pay directly to your bank accounts, or they pay after the solution has happened, the messaging has happened. But in our own case, people pay us before we even do anything. So that money sits in our balance sheet, basically. So that's a way to keep your company. So there are many ways to finance your company. There is financing with the investors' money, financing with loans, but there's also customer financing, and that's what we got right from day one. And so it became a popular thing with the investor community. A lot of portfolio founders for many investors were reaching out to us to ask us all those models. So my point is that we're really building for the future then. It was not common, the things that we're doing, right? And so it was really that founder conviction that happened. So when we looked at our system, we noticed that Paystack signed up, right? We didn't know them directly before, but we noticed that they signed up and they were using our platform. And we were wondering, why were they using our platform? Then we noticed some other small startups that at that time they were using our system. Then we checked what they were using our system for, and what we discovered is that they were actually using our system for OTPs, right? What do you call it? For fraud detection and all of that. They're basically using our system to do OTPs, right? And so it was pretty interesting. And we decided that, okay, our system was not built for that. We were just terminating SMS, right? It wasn't built for OTP or whatever. But we noticed that that was the content of the message they were sending. And so I and my co-founder thought we discussed it, and we decided that, you know what, let's shut down everything that we are doing. Right? What was paying us money, let us shut it down. So in a matter of 2 weeks or so, we shut down all our email services, everything. We got some backlash. Some customers were paying us as much as 1,400,000 then. I think then the highest money we were making was maybe 5 million naira or something like that, or maybe maximum 6 or 7. And so we had customers paying us 1,400,000. We just told them that we are not doing again. So we shut down everything. Right? That was crazy. Like, you are making money and you shut everything down. And then we decided to pivot completely. So that's where you see the founder bet comes into play, where you shut down everything, right? So we made a conviction bet there, and we bet on infrastructure. And so we rebuilt the entire platform in like 2 weeks. Everything. I built the front end, he built the back end, and we moved to purely infrastructure, OTPs, and all of that. In fact, I can dare to say that we're actually the first company in Nigeria, if not maybe Africa, aside from maybe Twilio in the US, that actually started doing these OTP endpoints, right? Verification, validation, number OTPs, messaging OTPs, all those things. It was not common at all, because there were many bulk messaging companies in the country that were doing bulk messaging, but it never occurred to them to actually offer that service, and that fintechs will need it. And then fintechs were just coming, and so it became something. So we actually saw into the future that we think this would be a good thing. And so I would say that that's where founder conviction merged with customer roadmap, because the customer roadmaps was what was making us to look into fraud and identity. Today, that has really evolved into AI infrastructure, WhatsApp messaging, and even our global roaming product, right? I would say that our customers has helped us to rewrite the whole landscape, right? But now, I'll dive back a little bit, right, to put some checks and balances, because if you don't put some checks and balances, you can go the wrong route, right? Now, there is founder level conviction, but there's also the customer signal strength that you need to pay attention to. And now, when not to build for the customer is when, because in the midst of that, we had many requests also. We had people saying, build this, build that. We've had all manner of things, right? We've had people ask us to build some things that we did not build, right? Why didn't we build it? Is because we felt like the conviction level was low on our side. We didn't really see a strong need, right? Maybe sometimes I want to see as much as maybe 10 customers or 15 or even 20 ask me for that same product. I don't want to see just one, two customers asking for it. Why? Because if you build everything that each customer is asking for, you'll be going left and right, tilting. In fact, even investors will ask you to build things. And from my experience to today, is one of the most is the fastest way to kill your company when investors are when you're just building for the investor. It's good to tell them what they want to hear when you're raising funds and all of that, and see how you can incorporate it into the product. But if all you're building is for your investor, who might never use your product, the problem is that you would end up killing the business. And that's why you see a lot of companies shut down, because they don't bet on the customer. There are many reasons why a company can die, but one of the main reasons is not building for your customer. Right now, when to build or to listing is when you have high conviction, right? And for this one with high conviction, but there's weak signal, is the vision that you have to follow. So, for example, AI, right? I have high conviction in artificial intelligence, right? And it's not really like the customers were asking for all the full spectrum of AI products. But to be honest, I just knew that no, we need to build this. And I think in 3 months, we rebuilt our entire platform again. At Tema, we're very, very frugal. Like, we're very technical. We don't mind scattering everything and build everything again. Like, we don't have a problem with that. We've done that 100 times, right? I know some customers will be like, what's wrong with these guys? Why are they? We do that. Why? Because we know that if we don't serve you the way you want to be served, or the way we know that you need to be served, the problem is that you end up leaving our platform to go into one foreign platform. I want to make sure that our platform is always to par with international standard, and so that's why we do what we do. So on that case, sometimes it goes on founder vision, and I just go on. But we also have the place where we also follow data. The conviction is low on our part, but the signal is too strong to ignore. So even on the AI part, there were certain products that we had to just build, right? For example, I've always run away from our engaged product, right? Why? Because I just felt like this product is just I was not so the conviction was not strong on my end. But then the banks have been asking for it, begging our sales team for it, right? And these banks are the ones that pay us the most. And I'm like, well, if the banks are asking for it, just build it, because they are paying for it, right? So that's where the data goes into play, right? And then you have the one where you have high conviction, strong signal. On that case, just go straight on, right? Where you have the AI, that's our resolve product is something like that. There's a strong signal. People cannot pay intercom and the other ones because of how expensive intercom is. $500 and all of that. They need an African alternative because of the naira dollar issue. Then you have the AI parts, people need the agents and all of that. So you basically have the high conviction, you have the strong signal. It hardly happens, but when you get that, just go right on. Now, while doing all of this, right, you need to also keep your vision honest. Now, conviction is good, but it can be very dangerous, right? And so some of the things that you need to put in place to make your conviction honest is these three things: repeated requests, support ticket teams, and retention churn. Now, one thing we did at Tema very early, which I can also dare to say very few companies did during our time. In fact, I had special sessions with many founders. Now, as I'm thinking, I'm just remembering that it looks like I spoke to a lot of founders, and many of them have ended up becoming bigger than my company, and I'm just like, I actually talked to many. They were asking me questions at some point. So at one point, people used to ask us that, why do we have WhatsApp groups? It was a big question. Why do you always attend to individual customers? Why don't you just use email support? And I explained to some of them privately why we do that, right? And one of the key reasons was feedback. We wanted feedback. We didn't want that email feed. We wanted direct customer to customer feedback. Now we've moved to Slack, and all of that, but we still have some WhatsApp group. But we were conscious about that. We wanted direct feedback. So every day we're logging. In fact, we built an automated admin side to automate the WhatsApp process, because we wanted live feedback from the customer, and I wanted to see the feedback. I didn't want to hear it from the team. I wanted to see it at the early days. So on every WhatsApp group, I think at one point we had over 5,000 WhatsApp groups, and in each of those WhatsApp groups, each of them, I was in every single group. I remember every single group, and I attend to every single customer alongside my team because I wanted the feedback. Now we have Slack, thousands of people on Slack and groups and all of that, and I'm in every of those groups, so I see those feedback. So we receive live feedback, which is very good. Then repeated requests, as customers keep asking for requests, it keeps your vision honest, because sometimes founders build for themselves, but you need, as you scale, you need to start building for the customer. Then retention and churn, as customers leave your platform, always have a way of asking them, oh, why did you leave, what happened, those kind of things helps you to keep your vision very honest, basically. Now, some things that customers cannot tell you, right, which you need to be clear about. That's why customer obsession has its limits. Is that customers can't tell you about security and compliance. No customer asks for this until they desperately need it. We've actually had a situation where a customer was losing $250,000, on a monthly basis. We actually had another one was losing 50K on a monthly basis. And when I mean losing to us, and it was a security leak on their own side. A very popular company, I will not mention the name, two of them, very popular. Security leak, and they didn't see it as a problem until they started losing that much money, and then I think they started having some financial re-evaluation, and they were wondering why they were paying us that much. We saw it, we flagged it initially, they didn't answer us, but later we flagged it again. That's when they started paying attention. In fact, I reached out to the CEO, who was abroad at that time. I reached out to him that, see, you guys are spending too much on my platform. Something is wrong. Kindly check it out. But when we saw that this started becoming a common theme amongst all the fintechs, we had to build a product. Now we built a product that is launching this month. It's called Fraud Guard. So that Fraud Guard is to prevent such things. So it checks for fraud before your WhatsApp message goes out, email message goes out, OTP goes out, everything. It checks for fraudulent financial payments, fraudulent financial transaction. It just checks for fraud basically at the transaction level. Now, the kind of fraudulent platform you have in Nigeria and Africa right now is KYC. KYC. You don't have transaction verification fraud platforms, right? That is checking for fraud as the transaction is happening, not when you're doing KYC or whatever. No. As it's happening live, as the customer is pressing okay, it's checking for fraud at that instance, basically. And so that's what it does. And thanks to AI that we can do that. And so we have to build this product because of that. Now, the customer did not ask like that. It's because it's kept happening and companies kept losing money. And in some cases, they dispute the money with us. And so we are like, no, we have to build this, right? Then other things like platform or technical debt, right? There's some features that are not so interesting, but you have to build it, right? Because the customer doesn't even know that they even need it until you build it, right? For example, we had a feature called webhooks. We realized that it wasn't a big deal for many platforms in Africa, but we served with Wave and MoneyPoint, and we discovered that they were always asking us for webhooks, infrastructure, and we had to build it, right? Because it became a very, very serious matter, to be disputing webhooks. I've never heard of that before. They were disputing webhooks with us, and we're like, oh, we need to build this, right? So it's not something common, but we have to build, and it's a very technical feature, because it requires a lot of servers, resources. We have to even scale. We basically had to migrate to Google and start using Google's infrastructure, because of the volume of webhooks that we're processing. It was really, really massive, And then you have category defining moves like the AI feature I talked about. I bet on it because it's the future, of our product, right? And I just believe strongly in it, right? And some of the things that we build, the models and all of that, it might not be glamorous, but it's like the future of our product, and I had to bet on it basically. Right. So the point is, vision defines destination, but customer defines the route. So you need to, the way we've operationalized this at Tema is, like I said, we have structured listening channels through our support tickets, conversation, and all of that. In fact, we've now built a product called Resolve for this purpose. We added some AI component into it, whereby the AIs can take those feedbacks now Previously, we're doing this via messaging alone. Now we're introducing voice, and they can take those feedback, record it, store it, and you can use it for your purpose. They can even interpret it basically, so that you can use those things for your feedback, channel. Then you have to make phase bets. You can't just build everything at once. You have to do it step by step. All right. And so one thing that I've done at Tema is to put things on priority, on pipeline. Somewhere I feel that infrastructure companies in Africa might not be able to go through the traditional venture model. Why? Because it takes time, and the returns takes is a lot, and then it's too critical for the industry. So somehow it takes time to really get to scale, and so somewhere you need investors that can really trust you, that can stay with you for a long run, right, and understand what you're building, because not every investor understands infrastructure, play really. And so we've been fortunate to have such investors, that's really been of help. Then you have before you build on a hunch, you need to agree on the evidence that will stop, so that ego does not come in, right? So meaning that when you are building, always have something, set a criteria that will tell you that kill this thing. And so we've had different products whereby we've terminated. Why? Because it didn't just go the way we planned, right? So you have to always have to have that kill switch. If not, you just keep building and you think that you love it, right? You just love it, and you keep building. So you basically have to have that mindset, generally. I think it looks like this is a very short, presentation, Dr. Victor. But I don't know if I was very, enlightening. But just to let us know is that one thing that I've learned, at I I did my business program also at Stanford. And one thing that I know that I've learned is this statement is that founders don't choose between vision and customers, right? What they do is that they build systems, they build processes, or we call it muscles, moment to moment, to know what exactly is telling them the truth. So meaning that you need to put system structure in place. I have this popular saying is that what you cannot measure, you can't scale. What you can't measure, you cannot grow. So if you want to be able to build products that can last, that can serve billions of customers, like we do, you have to be able to measure your growth, because you can get things twisted in the process. A lot of things just get modeled up when you start going at scale. So you have to build systems to track those things. It's not like fintech. Fintech is it's pretty straightforward. It's financial stuff, accountants, and for financial metrics and all of that. In our own case, it's infrastructure metrics. It's not stuff that accountants can understand. It's not stuff that you need special data team, data analytics, data whatever to figure things out. So you need to actually invest in that. And as a founder, don't leave it for employees. You need to understand those things yourself. If not, you can't build a product that the customers will love. Like YC usually says, something that people love, right? So you need to understand those processes your own self. I think I'll just pause there and see if there's any questions, sir. Thank you.
So much. And I think that was quite explosive. And if there's something I think I enjoy, it's your storytelling ability. No wonder, no wonder you it was quite exciting. I won't say it was quite easy for you to raise, but it's good. I mean, it was great, and it's I liked why you were able to get that kind of traction that you did. I enjoyed the storytelling ability. It just looked. I looked at the time and I was like, oh wow, you've been speaking for quite a while, and it didn't feel like that. Thank you very much, Mr. Gbolade. That was quite instructive. It wasn't the usual, very complicated, very tough, very difficult way. You simplified it down for everybody to understand what you were talking about, and I think that was quite instructive. And
Thank you.
I honestly was thinking you were going to be either or. I mean, in terms of you are either going to tell us to say, hey, customer is everything, you must be customer centric, with our customer, you have this. And that was what I was expecting. But again, this is what happens when you are in the trenches. This is what happens when you actually hold the reins of stuff, and you came up with a new perspective. It's like showing us the third side of a coin that is neither head nor tail. Is actually the beauty of it. What you actually create that is able to scale is actually at the intersection of both.
Yeah, it's called sequencing. So it's neither either or. It's just the sequence, how you sequence the process,
So
basically.
initially,
It could
there can be
start with
founder,
vision. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So founder vision, yes, initially, but again, after a while, listen to the feedback, listening to what the market is saying. Again, quite instructive. I was, just asking myself, how courageous could one have been to shut down and rebuild in a time where most startups are actually bootstrapping and trying to, and you say like you shut it down, you rebuild, and it just shows the kind of grit and the conviction you had on the path you were going. And I kept hearing that word. You kept taking a bet. You kept taking a bet. And this goes to show that what actually makes us scale and determinants of success at times, not just how much money has been raised, it's about the founder's grit, how much the founder is in touch with the reality of the market. And that to a large extent speaks to how we think you've been able to scale. And I think that's a good information and trick you've shared with us. Thank you so much. We're so grateful. I think we have a question in here, which I think is from on one of the platforms. It says, the best product built by giving customers exactly what they ask for or by giving them what they don't know yet. Okay, so this person is saying, is the best product built by giving customers exactly what they ask for or by giving them what they don't know yet? What they don't know they need yet, or something like that. I know you said something like this, but maybe for sake of emphasis. So is it that what customers are asking, or do I give them what I presume they don't know yet? That's one of the questions I
S-
saw here.
Yeah, so like I said, they are is a blend of it. Right? It's not either or, right?
Mm,
This question I know will probably be coming from Steve Jobs, right? A lot of people use that, whereby Steve Jobs gave us a product that we didn't know that we needed. The iPad,
mm-hmm.
the iPhone, all
iPad, the
of that.
iPhone.
Those were
Yeah.
innovation, right? But that's what Steve Jobs is a good marketing guy. He's very good at marketing, right?
Mm,
And so he knows how to market it that way. But if you look deeply, it was not the case entirely. In the background, the way the system worked and all of that, they had to adjust and adjust. They had to even use Windows because their own
but
software was not working to
yeah.
power. They had to do a partnership with Microsoft to build software for their products. Right now,
Mm,
that is building on not just the vision, also building on feedback. Right, that wait, your
okay, yeah.
customers don't like your software, it will not work. That you have to
Mm,
use what is working.
mm,
And so basically they had to switch. Yes, there's a place of the vision, building what the customer do not want, but then you need to also pay attention to the numbers, because the customer that is paying for the software, right, or paying
mm,
for the system, right? And so if you build outside that, if you don't consider the customer's information or data, you end up building product that only you will use, because you need product that people would use. And I usually say product market fit is
mm,
not that you've built something that seems nice to you and your investors. No, no, that's not
mm,
product market fit. Maybe you talk to investors like, oh, this product is fantastic. Or your co-founder say, oh, this product is interesting. Or your family and friends says, no, that's not product market fit. Though. Product market fit is when your company has a support line, support phone number, has
mm,
emails, has a email channel for receive support requests, and every morning you go to bed by 12 midnight and you have to wake up by 5 a.m. or 4 a.m. Why? Because from morning till night, your phones are ringing and your emails are buzzing. Not with commendation, but with insults. You people are very useless. You people are very stupid. Your company is the worst company. But after their insults, they still
mm,
come back and use your product. That's product market fit. So, for example, if you track many of our support, you will see insults. We like the insults, keep insults, because the truth is that there's no alternative. You have to use our product, right? Right, because we've built something that you want. You just need it. There's nothing you can do. Right. So we need you to actually insult us. Why? So that you can tell us what is not working. And what happens is
mm,
that we'll reach out to you, would apologize for what has happened, that we're so sorry. But one thing we'll do is that we'll take your feedback and we'll fix it. So if you're a founder that is running away from that feedback, you can't build something substantial. Why? Because you need the customer to, it's in the US or other markets that you can build, with feelings. In Africa, people don't have chill. They will insult you like that and all of that. So you just need to move past the insult and like, okay, sorry, but what's the issue that you really having? Oh, this is the problem. Then take it down and go and fix it. That's how you basically build better. And one thing we do is that after we fixed it, we come back and meet you, say the way you insulted us, please can you help us go back there and write there that it has been resolved, because some people will insult you but they will not tell people that it has been fixed. So but the thing is that we have amazing customers who always
yeah.
go back to tell their audience that, oh, they fixed it, we're very sorry for this. So and most often we realize that the customer is just raking. It's actually that the customer's fault. One of the things we've seen that is always sometimes the customer did something wrong. It might just
Yeah,
be one
but
single line that the customer did not understand. Yeah,
mhm.
and they end up understanding, and we create that understanding. So you need to make the customer your friend, right? As much as you want to build something or vision, really.
Yeah, that's exciting. 16 million customers. I find that quite instructive. 16 million customers. What's it like to manage 16 million customers? Tell me, what's it like on your team? What's it like? How have you been able to
So
create a structure that serves 16 million customers?
So my team is actually small. In fact, I think we're already overstretched, right? We're just like a 60-man team, or I think 65 team members,
Yeah.
and it's a lot actually. But one thing we've done is that we've been able to automate many of our processes. We automated a lot of things, and even
Mm,
we are now using AI to even automate a lot of things, even much more, right?
mm,
Our phone lines, our chats, we're automating everything.
mm,
But the thing is that it's not been easy actually, right? So we serve around, I think I usually tell investors that we have over 10,000 businesses, but I think we actually have up to 60,000 when I checked recently. But the thing is
mm,
that many of those other businesses are very, very small businesses. But the truth is that we
mm,
have a lot of companies on the system, and every morning is chaos from morning till evening. My team is always on calls, on chats, like it is chaos. Right? There's always
mm,
calls, and most times it's not our fault. Sometimes it's the telco's fault. Sometimes the regulator. Sometimes it's just the customer that just missed something. But one thing they
mm,
like about us is that when they reach out to us, we always answer. Like we
mm,
always answer. We take customer service very, very serious, and so we always answer them. And so it's really like that. So we have that number of businesses. The 16 million is the end customer for our customers. So we actually say that we have two customers. We have the businesses who are our
mm,
customers, and we have their end customers who are also complaining. So we have two customers that are angry, the end
mm.
users and also the businesses. So the businesses is like, let's just say actively like 10K, but we have more than that on the system. Then in extension, 16 million end users who are the ones with their phones receiving the
Yeah.
OTPs, the notification, and all of that. Yeah.
That's big. That's big, and I'm quite excited that customer service and all that is something prioritized because there's absolutely no way you're an infrastructure company without really betting big and indexing on customer service because that's the only way infrastructure company can serve businesses because you're not so much customer facing like we do. I know we're out of time, but again, there was a way you just spoke and just told the story and made it quite nice. And somebody said super enlightening. I quite agree. And I think this might be the final question. I know there are other questions, but because of our time, and also because I find also this was quite courageous of you. When you noticed OTP behavior for some of your customers, what made you confident beyond you just felt? I mean, were there frameworks? What did you use? What made you confident that the behavior was going to be market shaping and was not just a minor trend? How did you know that it was a signal that was worth betting on and it was not noise? Because then the landscape had not yet formed fully with fintechs, regulators, and all that. We've not seen the level of fraud cases like we're seeing today. So, What made you differentiate between the fact that it was either noise or it was the signal for you to work on?
Okay, just to save time, I think I also want to answer another question on the chat that I just saw. I will add it to it. Which the person is asking,
Yeah.
did you, for you to have shut down and rebuild, did Termite get investors to rebuild? No. Like I told you, you need to be a technical. You need to learn what. See, don't hire only hire people to support you. Don't hire to
Mm,
replace anything. Like hire people to come and support what you are doing. I and my co-founder, we are full stack developers. So because we are full stack developer, we can build whatever we want. So you don't need investor money, right? Because you can build anything you want, right? You don't need the money. So I can build a system from start to finish right now, with my co-founder, right? So that allows you to break down, start up again. So if you want to go into if you want to be a technology founder, be a technology founder. Don't be a wannabe technology founder. Know the code yourself. Know how to build it, basically, right? So with that, you don't need the money, right? But you also you need the money for marketing and to scale, not necessarily to build,
mm,
basically. Then the question that you asked, well, to be honest, there are a lot of factors, but I I know this is not the place for it, but to be honest, that's my own factor, right? I actually went in by faith, to be honest. I'm a spiritual person, and so I do a lot of things also by faith. And so I just thought about it.
mm,
I saw the data. It didn't make any sense to just jump in all in, but I just had that feeling in my spirit that this is where you should go.
mm,
Like focus on this, and I zoned down on it. But then I also looked at the data, right? The data was telling
mm,
me that this is where we should go to, right? But then
mm.
looking at this regulation, the system was not fintech was not really pretty at that time. You just had maybe
No?
Paystack or something, and all of that, or maybe Piggyvest or whatever. But the truth is that it wasn't really pretty, right? But then I looked at the future and I was like, what will the future be, and I just had it in my spirit that focus on this thing, and I just went there, but you need to also have data that you can look at, um, to even guide you, basically. And that was really it. It wasn't really insider info or anything. No, it was just, you can call it, I won't call it God, because you
Uh,
can, yes,
God can take
you
you to the
can go into
gutter.
serious problem. Yes, so I won't call it God, really. It's a mixture of data and also just having faith to
Yeah.
move. Yes.
Mr. Emmanuel, Gbolade, I mean, we could have kept you on this call because there's just a way you even come across that, just keep, unfolding it and it's storytelling ability in a very casual way that keeps it quite simple and easy to assimilate. But again, time never our friend. Thank you so much for your time, Mr. Emmanuel.
Thank you for having me.
You've really shared with us the depth. And that's why I personally enjoy bringing subject matter experts and real people building at the trenches on the table. Half of what you've said are not just quotes of somebody else or something you read in a book. It's actually your experience and your journey from way back 2014, 15, 16, and all that. And we can relate. We can relate to your 12 to 15 years journey and see how it's shaped. It will suffice for me to mention that I think I've got 3 firms that subscribes to Tamil. So we actually, in our portfolio of companies, I'm sure we have nothing less than 3 of our companies that subscribe to you
Thank you.
for.
Thank you for doing business with us.
So we also do. I'm sure we have about 3. We've got a couple of telco and fintech solutions that use your products. And again, it's become a household name even before we have on the board. But I need to say a big thank you
Thank
for
you for
spending
having me.
time investing in us, sharing your knowledge, sharing your experience, sharing the journey of how you've gotten here, the highs, the lows, the conviction, sharing with us what it's taking to bring you here, to keep you there. And we do not take it for granted. We want to say thank you for your time and we wish you all the
Thank you
best.
very much.
And we're sure that you continue to soar higher as you continue to scale. Today is 16
Amen.
million subscribers. We do look forward to when you'll be talking over a billion, and we do see when you become a unicorn along the
Thank
journey.
you.
Then you can say we
Amen.
knew him before he was a unicorn. Nice to meet you. Thank you
Yeah.
so
All right. Thank you very
much.
much. Thank you, everyone. Thank
And
you. Bye
to
bye.
every other person who has been a part of Techbiz across all the different platforms, yes, we have to call it a day on the dot of the hour. I want to say a big thank you to you. We've had Mr. Emmanuel Gbolade, the co-founder and CEO of Tamil, share with us from his wealth of experience. And this is the 125th Techbiz series that we have. This particular episode, as well as the 124 episodes of Techbiz, are available for you on the chat. Just go back to scroll the chat. My colleagues will drop it, www.ecoicenter/webinar. You will find it. And you can be able to listen to it. Are there parts of it you missed? Are there slides you want to take a second look at? Feel free to do that from 12 noon tomorrow. My colleagues will have had this recording on board. And again, you want to be a part of our community of tech enthusiasts working with who can help provide the right support, access to information that will support you on your journey. My colleagues will be dropping a link to our community called the Tech Nation, 2005, 3005, to about 3,000 strong members. Please feel free to join either our Telegram page or our WhatsApp group. My colleagues have dropped in there, and it promises to be quite enlightening, and it promises to help you on your journey of building and scaling your venture. Again, from the stable of Eco Innovation Center, I will not go without telling you what's cooking again. The eighth in a series of our usual flagship program, Art of Technology Lagos. I think my colleagues will be sharing the material now. AOT 8.0. We started from 2019, and this year, December 5th, thereabout, we're going to have AOT 8.0, where we will be bringing again the ecosystem players, founders, policymakers. And what does AOT trying to achieve? It tries to bring together policymakers and ecosystem founders and ecosystem builders so that we can shape the ecosystem in the direction, in the way that we want it to be. My colleagues were supposed to have shared the flyer, but I think they're having a few technical issues. They will resolve that subsequently. But do feel free to go to Eco Innovation website and sign up for AOT 8.0. The seats are filling. I think as at last count, we read about 2,400 people who have signed up. It promises to be quite an exciting experience. It's arguably one of the largest gathering of in the tech ecosystem in West Africa, if not in the whole of Africa. So again, it will be quite rewarding if you are a part of AOT 8.0. It's called the Art of Technology Lagos 8.0. On that note, I want to say a big thank you for you keeping a date with us from Eco Innovation Center. Techbiz happens to be one of our platforms where we support startups by bringing subject matter experts to share with you from the wealth of experience how they've been able to go about the journey of building their organizations, growing their ventures, and scaling. And we do hope that this particular episode was quite enlightening. And I look forward to hosting you again last Thursday of every month. So the last Thursday of the month of September. I look forward to being your host again. And I remain Dr. Victor Folabi, the founder of Eco Innovation Center, saying thank you for keeping a date with us. And I see you on the next episode of Techbiz. Do have a great weekend as we start the weekend tomorrow.